properly screen a publisher. And there's a lot of things, a lot of checks that need to happen that are just not clear in the Google terms and conditions. So that's what makes it so difficult. And there are publishers that, they seem like they're, they play by the rules, but then, in terms of, getting a little, cheeky in terms of the monetization side, to get more monetization, sometimes they cut corners and it's hard to detect that, right? There is an element of trust when you're working with some of these publishers as well. And the best way to really verify that is to do the proper compliance checks. So even if you play by the rules and you do your best via manual processes to check these sites, you still can run into problems, right? Maybe they pass all your checks for your initial run through, but then they do a redesign. And then all of a sudden the ads are too close to the buttons, right? And then you have accidental clicks, right? That could cause a termination in revenue deductions, right? Maybe they start getting traffic from a new traffic source and it has invalid traffic, right? And this can all happen after passing your initial compliance check that, can be caught if you have proper spot checking, especially with technology that can detect and block invalid traffic.
Got it. Yeah, it's that continual maintenance, obviously, and there's always things that change in these environments and on these sites, right? So it's just that's where automation and making sure that you're consistently maintaining the standards becomes super important. So, Kian, did you want to just touch on this slide? I know you wanted just to kind of showcase some of the trends that were happening in recent years.
Yeah, so this is a good example of how things are changing in the industry. One of Google's strategic initiatives is to clean up the supply, right? So to only monetize websites that closely follow their terms and conditions, that are not made the MFA sites, right? The made for advertising sites, right? And as a result, they've made their trust and safety processes much more stricter, and they've become more aggressive in terms of terminating not just publishers, but MCMs, right? So MCMs that have issues with invalid traffic, MCMs that have too many terminations, right? That they have low quality scores, and they plan on continuing to be aggressive throughout the year. So this is a chart that shows what the MCM count was for the past 4 years. And as you can see, it's had the largest drop in 2025 compared to any of the past years in the past 4 years, and perhaps even longer than that, right? We've typically seen it grown quite a bit over the past decade, and now we're actually seeing a drop. And this is mostly attributed to the termination of MCM accounts, not just publishers, but whole MCM accounts. So this is kind of just showing the results of it, and there's more to come. We've seen it become more strict. So that's why having a proper compliance process and leveraging technology to do this at scale is so important to protect your MCM account so that you can keep it safe, and all the revenues that you earn for your publishers and for your company to keep those safe as well.
Yeah, thank you. Great point. So also, speaking of Google, a lot of talk. So how is the DOJ's antitrust case against Google reshaping the compliance landscape today?
So this kind of just shows, it's a reminder how Google is such a huge monopoly in the industry. And they are the leaders in terms of compliance, right? What they have for their terms and conditions is what most other ad tech companies follow. So if you are abiding by all the Google terms and conditions, you can be confident that you're also abiding by the terms and conditions of most of the other, DSPs and SSPs, right? There are some small differences, but when Google makes a change, typically the rest of the ad tech industry makes a change. So that's why it's really important to be in good standing with the Google terms and conditions and making sure you run the proper checks. And that's what we have design Traffic Cop's compliance process, the automated checks, our scoring system, all around the Google terms and conditions to make sure that websites are in good standing with the compliance process, their compliance process, and to make sure that there isn't, it can prevent any potential terminations and revenue deductions from Google to keep these MCM accounts and their publishers safe.
Yeah, really good point. And obviously, super important. When we speak about automation, right, Kian, and having this infrastructure in place. So why is this so much important than running audits, right? If somebody's running audits, and they're looking into this on a regular basis, what is automation and infrastructure going to give them over that, and why is that really how we would say the only sustainable path forward?
Yeah, it's very important, for an MCM to be able to protect their account in a reliable way, right? I mentioned what the process looks like manually, where you can only run a certain amount of checks manually, maybe under 10 at the max, realistically, even if you have a team to run through hundreds of leads per month, right? Maybe even thousands. And it enables a company to be able to run automated checks on a thorough basis, so that the publishers are clean, and then check them thereafter with spot checks to make sure that they continue to be clean. And this allows an MCM partner to scale confidently, right? So that you don't, so that that you're working with good leads, and that you continue to, so you're not, throwing away any good quality leads because you're just not sure about maybe a certain vertical or publishers from a certain geo. It allows you to kind of scale more confidently.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the stat on screen, trying to do spot checks and manual audits on, it says here, 1.3 billion publisher pages, you're always going to be chasing, right? And so having that automation and that infrastructure in place not only helps safeguard, but ensures that you're not missing something that's going to be, going to have this huge impact, like you mentioned earlier in the call. So how is my business going to get an ROI from something like Traffic Cop? Obviously having that infrastructure and that automation in place, but how does a domain screening tool like Traffic Cop offers, create a return on my investment?
Yeah, great question. So this allows a strong ROI on two sides, right? There's on the lead side, where MCMs can actually look at these leads and they can consider leads that they otherwise wouldn't. Like, how many here on this webinar are not working with certain publishers of particular geos or verticals, right? Or maybe that buy from certain traffic sources, right? They don't even look at them. Like, that's something that I saw common, and I imagine there's some MCM partners here that do the same thing. But when you kind of like have some of those rules, you might be giving up, some really great leads, right? For example, a huge website that's a household name that buys traffic every day is Forbes.com, right? How many MCM partners would want to not work with Forbes.com, right? And there's many others that are quality sites that buy traffic. There's many quality sites that come from, say, tier 3 geos that a lot of MCM partners, they have to just cut them out from the beginning because they don't run a proper compliance process, right? So this allows you to scale more confidently, so you can accept more leads. You don't have to worry about having a high termination risk because you're running through this process. And then on the back end, once you actually accept them, then you could continue to run these spot checks to make sure they're still in good standing with Google, right? And you're preventing these terminations, because a termination is also a churn, right? And a churn means that you can't continue to earn revenue with a publisher thereafter, right? And for a lot of these MCMs, I've seen it's one of the highest, like their number one or number two reason for churn, right? So you can dramatically decrease your churn. You can decrease your revenue deductions, because we know how painful some of those revenue deductions can be, and it also puts your MCM account in danger, right? So overall, it allows you to scale more confidently. It can decrease your churn in a major way. And that's where you're getting the strong ROI from the new revenue side and the reduction of churn side.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Super, super helpful. And obviously some of the stats on screen show the impact that it can have as well. Kian, if you're up for it, we had a question come through. So before we jump into the demo, I'd love to just, ask Martin's question here. So do you think all MFA type sites are bad, even if they utilize Google Ads effectively and generate high quality traffic, no IVT?
So, and here's a great question. Here's the funny thing about the ad tech industry. The MFA definition is different depending on who you're talking to, right? So with our definition of MFA, yes, all MFA sites are bad to work with. However, there's kind of like a spectrum, right? A site isn't 100% MFA or 0% MFA. They might be 33% MFA, right? There's certain things that make it an MFA, like too many ads on the page, right? Poor user experience, aggressive refresh ads, right? Ad setup policy violations, the things that where publishers take shortcuts to make as much revenues right now as possible, and they don't care about the users, right? It's typically like a horrible user experience, right? Right, we work with them. We provide the details of what they need to do to get into good standing. So maybe they're MFA today, but if they change these 5 things, then they can get in good standing, and they're not MFA anymore, right? It's there's no intention, there's no patience for it. If they only want to take shortcuts, then I don't recommend working with that publisher. But if they have the intention to be in good standing and to grow in a confident and sustainable way, which allows them to scale, right? These are the publishers that we want to work with, right? This is what we internally call the rising star publishers. And this is, it's possible to work with these websites. So you turn them, you move them away from being an MFA into a proper, good standing site that can actually scale with good content, good user experience, and they provide unique value to their audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So great answer. And, like you said, Kian, this is the type of thing that we help with, right? We provide this guidance. We provide the bridge between being this optimized, policy aligned publisher. And sometimes, when we first start working with a publisher, they do have certain issues that we help, remedy and rectify, and they grow as a result of that. So yeah, great answer. I just want to encourage our audience, please keep the questions coming. We're going to be doing a larger Q&A session at the end. So please continue to submit questions, and we'll have more time post demo to answer some more of those. So thank you. So Paulo, welcome. I know you've been waiting patiently, so I'm going to turn the reins over to you. I'll continue to drive the slides until you go into your live demo. But I'll drop off screen for the audience and continue to drive, and just let me know when you want me to advance, Paulo. Okay?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Braden. Thanks, Kim. I'm really excited to be here today, guys, to talk about this tool. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to our compliance automation system. So this is a solution that we developed in-house, and our goal is to help publishers to stay compliant, protect their revenue, and scale with confidence, right? So our solution was designed for the scale and complexity of the ad tech ecosystem. So we help to detect policy violations, and especially by generating insights to support every step of the compliance journey, right? So our goal, and especially the way that we designed the solution, was not to only send you alerts or just give you basic reports. Our goal is to provide insights, and when it comes to insights, are like a mix between reports and AI technology, right? So we have good knowledge about compliance. Our compliance team was always working hard, and we worked together with the compliance team and our tech team to create the solution, right? So I'm going to talk about especially the main categories that we are basically running on compliance. So we detect thin and low value content, restricted content, ad placements, intellectual property abuse, and a lot of other checks, right? So don't worry, I'm going to show the tool, and it will be easier to understand how we're doing, right? So Braden, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen and explain more about this process. So let me quickly share my screen so we can understand more about how we designed the solution, right? But first, to understand the solution, we need to to identify a problem, right? So let's talk about the main pain points that we have today when it comes to policy violations and compliance, right? Let's meet Alex. And Alex is a mid-tier publisher that runs more 50 plus sites, right? So what are the main problems that Alex is facing today by not using an automated system to detect violations? The first and obvious problem is Alex is reactive, not proactive. What this means that Alex only checks compliance after Google flags violations like misplaced ads or thin contents, right? And but the problem is it's too late, right? So your revenue is already blocked, and fixing these issues might have time, right? So the problem two will be mana work, right? So by reviewing the pages, and then you need to open a page, review by yourself, check the page, and this will take time, right? So and this can uh, have like a problem to identify, and it slows to identify these problems. And so in this case, Alex had a policy violation in the big site, and traffic drops 40% overnight. And the third problem was no visibility, right? So Alex can't tell which sites are high risk or why, right? Because Alex doesn't have any type of scoring system for the domains, and he wastes a lot of time putting out fires instead of scaling, right? So this means that in this example, Alex lost a loss of revenue in the last year plus stress, which is exactly what he wants to avoid, right? Now, by implementing an automated system, what we are giving to Alex. Basically, Alex is catching issue earlier. This means that our automated system will run through every site and detect all the possible violations and generate real-time reports. So Alex, instead of wasting time trying to detect this violation, this can fix in minutes, leading to no revenue loss, right? And based on that, Alex is also able to identify every domain and identify a score. So the domains that you have, you can identify the score. So you can focus the domains that you have a low score, avoiding a potential ban, right? And our third solution will be if these reports and insights, Alex is able to scale with confidently, right? So he can launch new sites and knowing that the compliance is being monitored now. As a result, zero policy violations, and Alex can have a better revenue, right? So this is the current state, the landscape that we have right now for most of the publishers. And based on that, we created our solution, and our solution is basically an automation for compliance, right? And you, as a publisher, all you need to do is to implement the traffic copy script. So when you implement the traffic copy script in your site or domain, we are able to detect and to run our automation. And then how it works. Basically, for every domain that we have, we can decide for depending on the checks that we want to run and execute in our website. We can run daily, weekly, or bi-weekly. And for every domain that we have, we execute our automation, right? So we analyze your domains, and then we execute 80 plus compliance checks, right? So we identify checks related to accessibility, ad related, content related, behavior related, and policy related, right? So for some checks, we run what we call rule-based checks, which basically checks that are very straightforward to execute. For example, we check if your site has a certain score, and or we check if your site is for sale, for example. But for most of the checks, we are using strong AI technology, or so we have our own custom models that we are basically using these models to identify and analyze your website, right? So after we execute this, we are basically generating a dashboard for you. And in this dashboard, you can identify most or policy violations by category, and also you can analyze each domain that you have and understand the score, right? So we are generating a score for every domain that you have. So basically, for the score, what we are doing here is that we have an intelligence that basically is balancing priority for every category that we have and the compliance checks that the domain is passing. And then we calculate this and generate a score. And in the end, you can identify if your website is bad, regular, good, or great, right? So based on this information, we have some insights, and you can use these insights to guide you and understand what next actions you need to take to improve your domain and reduce your violations and increase your revenue and feel more confident and protected, right? So I'm going to now quickly demonstrate how we're doing some screens for this process, right? So the first one is the traffic cop dashboard. So if you never use it, this dashboard is our dashboard for traffic cop. You can use it to manage your domains, and you can change your domains and identify every type of report that you want and generate and identify the violations that you have, right? So for this automation, this is something that we are doing for a long time. I mean, we have our compliance team. Our compliance team has knowledge, and we are executing these compliance checks to analyze your domain and analyze your violations in a way that we basically execute compliance automation. And then in this screen, I can show this screen because this screen is used by the compliance team, and this is automation that is basically running every check that we have and is giving you results. So for example, in this domain here, we have a lot of checks that are passing, so I can analyze the results. And this is something that our compliance team was doing before this release, right? So as you can see, I can analyze every aspect of the website, and then based on that, my website will receive a score, right? So this was the first step. And after this step, we work it to prepare this product to do more. And what is more? Basically, you as a publisher, you can open your dashboard, and now you have a specific dashboard that will basically generate the policy issue report for you. So in this dashboard, you can identify all the violations by categories. So for example, if you have accessibility violations, ad related or content related, you can filter the dashboard by dates. You can analyze a graph. You can also export a spreadsheet. So if you want to check this as a spreadsheet, and here we can identify the violations for every domain that we have. You can also filter by domain if you want, But in this case here, for example, we can see the results for our automation, right? So depending on the violation and on the check that you are executing, you can use this page to quickly identify each type of policy violation here, and you can expand and understand and analyze the results and take some actions based on the insights that you are generating here. So for example, the first domain, we have some violations. We find some invalid lines in the ads.txt file. So I have here the category, and then I can expand the details, right? And then if I can expand, I can easily identify what is the policy link, and the issues that we found here. So yeah, now I know that in this testing domain, I don't have enough information in the ads.txt file. And why it is important to fix this? So you can quickly receive information here about the policy, and then you can also open the policy link to explore and understand the reasons behind this violation, right? And we also have, for example, a violation for ads are not too close to navigational content. So if you expand, you see that depending on the check, we have different formats and different insights, right? So in this case here, same thing, we have the issue, the policy reference, summary, and all the details. And I can expand the details and understand, for example, if I can expand and understand the ad unit level, I can. So for example, I can expand and understand all the ID units that are basically responsible to receive this violation. And then I can get details and take some actions about it, right? I also have, for example, a check for page load speed. So, and you can also understand why page load speed is important, right? And we know that page load speed can impact your revenue. And also other checks. So you can use this page to understand every violation that we have. And as we said, we have more than 80 checks. And if every check has a different results, and then you can use these results to help you with this process, right? So for example, we can also analyze thin and low value content. So depending on the check that and the violation that we have, if this violation was analyzed by our machine learned models, so you can have a more details and more insights about it, so you can understand and you can really take some action, right? So, and also we have this tab, screening results, and this tab, screening results, basically is giving you a score for every domain that you have. So all you need to do is to open this page, refresh this report, and then we are doing all the hard work for you. We are generating the reports in the background. We are analyzing everything from your domain. We are running AI. We are running automated checks. And the most important thing is that we are always adding more and more checks. We are always taking care of the quality of the checks that we have, so we can help you with this process and give you the technology that you need to have a good sleeping night, right? So, for example, here in the 3 domains that I have, this one receive a great score. And then if you click on this button, you can easily identify why we're receiving this score for this domain. And then we are, as I mentioned before, right? We have some categories: bad, regular, good, and great. So depending on the domain, you can have different results, right? And then you can expand the checks, and then you can have like a very quick view about the checks that we're executing. So we have a lot of checks, and basically the checks will help you to generate this score, right? So yeah, so this is the report that we are generating, is something that is part of an automated process. We are using a lot of technology behind, and in fact, we are using knowledge and technology to generate these insights, right? I also want to quickly show you the list of the checks that we are executing here, right? So as I mentioned, we have biweekly checks, daily checks, monthly checks. So depending on the your domain, so you can have different perspectives and different analysis that will generate some insights, right? So we check, for example, if pages are not indexed, we check if tobacco, AI generated content or AI generated image, lack of experience. So we have a whole ecosystem of automated checks to support you in your daily routine and help you to generate more revenue, right? So this is only the beginning. So we're just releasing this tool officially, but we are always adding and adding more checks, and so you can receive very valuable information about your domains. That's it. Any questions? I will be happy to answer. And one part, we also mentioned that about this risk scoring prioritization, right? So, okay. Over to you, Brendan. Let me.
Oh, you're on mute, Braden.
Yeah, you're on mute, Brendan.
Sorry, guys. Excellent presentation. Thanks, Paolo. And obviously, you spoke to many of the key components that Kian mentioned, early in the fireside chat. So we do have a number of great questions come through. So we'll get into those and address those. And obviously, Paolo or Kian, whoever wants to kind of jump in and answer. So the first question we have is there a hit to Google's page speed related to the script?
Yes. Yes, we use this integration, and we are using the Google API to retrieve some of the checks.
I think, Paolo, the question was, does it actually affect the page speed score by running a traffic hop on page?
No.
Okay. Good. So, and then another question related is, does the script require consent from a GDPR perspective?
No, it's basically the traffic copy script is the same script that the users basically are implementing today in the websites. So we are not collecting any sensitive data there. We're just running the checks in the background, so we don't require any consent to run the script.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. And I saw Priscilla joining us from Brazil as well. I just wanted to say that post-webinar recording, she's just asking about in Portuguese. We will look into being able to create subtitle or caption content for this in Portuguese as well. So thank you for your question. We'll have more content, very much like this. For our publishers all over the world. So please check back, but we will definitely try and create a captioned version in Portuguese of this presentation. So thanks, Priscilla, for that. Again, to our audience, if there's any other questions, please let us know. Okay, we have another one here. Okay, how to effectively avoid sudden drops in termination score, Kian? Do you want to address that, and then there's a part two as well. I'll hit you with in a second.
Yeah, for sure. So it's important to first off have a compliance process, right? So it depends what you have now. At least having a manual process is better than not having anything at all, right? I recommend if it's a manual process that you have a team dedicated. Not some I've seen with MCM, some of them they do it off the side of their desk. It's someone who does support and compliance, or sales and compliance, or account management and compliance. That typically doesn't work very well because there's so much to handle that shortcuts are made, mistakes are made, and then you can get those sudden increases in terminations, and it hurts your termination score. So obviously the best solution is to use technology, right? And what we built with Traffic Hop is specifically for ad monetized publishers and MCM partners, GCVPs, even SSPs can use this as well to screen their publisher leads, right? And the way that you can use it, like what Paolo showed, was you can now, it's been simplified where you can take the score, right? So you can set up within your own process of, say, anything above 75, you accept. right? Anything between 50 and 75, it'll be maybe worth your time to work with them. You send them all the policy violation issues and the recommendations of how to fix them. You can use Traffic Cop to do this now, and to turn that, that questionable, like that risky lead, into a safe, good standing lead, right? And then anything below 50, maybe that's not worth your time, or maybe it is if they have a large enough traffic and revenue, right? These are all within your decisions, within your process for compliance, right? And utilizing this technology will enable you to do that, right? It'll save you, hundreds of hours. You can have a thorough process, and you can actually, make sure that you're working with every lead that can be a high value lead, and then have the spot checking process to make sure that they're still in good standing. This is how you keep your termination score strong in the long term, and then you can prevent any sudden drops in your termination score so that you keep your MCM account safe.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kian. And I have one more kind of related to that. Before we do so, I'm just going to switch and bring this up just so all of our attendees know. This QR code will link you to book a meeting with our compliance specialist and expert in-house. He'll be able to continue to relay the types of information that Paolo and Kian have been talking about today, and obviously be your connection point to get started with the product as well. So I'll leave this on screen while Kian kind of answers this last question and leaves us with some parting notes, but I know we're coming up to time here shortly, so I'll respect everybody's schedule today. Related to termination score, Kian, so is it only related to the past 90 days, or are there other factors that can cause termination score to drop that maybe haven't been addressed yet?
Yep, great question. So for the child publishers, any of their terminations, they last for 90 days, right? They expire after 90 days, and that termination score is calculated by the percentage of terminated child publishers in the past 90 days over your total number of active child publishers, right? So we track that internally, of how many child publishers have been terminated over the overactive publisher score. And that's how we kind of like make sure that our termination score is in good standing.
Awesome. Thanks, Kian. So I think we'll start to wrap it up there. Again, I just wanted to thank all of our attendees for joining today. The session has been recorded and will be sent out post call. Again, the QR code is here, or monetizemore.com if you guys have any other questions or want to get a hold of us. Again, Monetize More focuses on ad monetization, and a big part of that is protecting that inventory, right? Which is largely what we've been talking about today, both from a publisher side, MCM, GCPP partner side as well. So again, Kian, Paolo, any final words for our audience before we end the session today?
Yeah, thanks, Brayden. So thanks everyone for joining. Right, we're here to help. We're here to educate. We've over 10 years ago we've been through this. Right, we had our MCM account terminated, and it was really painful. Right, this is why we built Traffic Cop, and we want to prevent this happening again for other MCM partners. And it has been happening, unfortunately, because they're not leveraging compliance technology like Traffic Cop. Right, so we want to help you, scale your business sustainably by working with the right publishers and helping those publishers to be in good standing with Google so that they can scale as well. Right, so please reach out. We can answer any of your questions. We can help you out. We can help educate. We have a lot of content. Like I said, we work closely with Google to really understand that, even related to the future compliance changes that they'll make, because they are coming. So it's a great way to keep up to date with the latest compliance changes that Google makes. And reach out if you have any questions. We have experts within our team that can help you out. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I'll answer any of your questions, because like I said, we are here to help and this is part of our overall mission to clean up the overall ecosystem.
Awesome. Perfect place to end it. Once again, we appreciate everybody attending today. Thank you very much. We will be in touch, and we encourage you to reach out as well. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Take
care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah, and we're good.
What'd you think?
Yeah, great. I realized, I think the content was excellent.